Tell a friend, and tell a friend again. You must tune in today. You must jump on this live stream. The guest that I have for you today, you already see him in the screen. He is Gary Gee Charles, girl dad, HBCU grad, businessman, Wall Street, Eaton defense contractor, Grumman B-1 bomber, systems programmer at Citibank. He's an international problem solver. He has designed discovery plans to recover from disasters. And he's one of the most influential basketball minds, correct that, basketball and business minds in the country. He is the founder of the Vegas Tip-Off Classic. He is the founder of Las Vegas Fab 48. This weekend, he's hosting the 10th annual Gary Charles Classic right here on Long Island. He has stories for days. Argue with me about the top 5 basketball players ever if you want. But this man, we are going to talk about Kobe. We are going to talk about LeBron. Both top 5 players. We might talk about Jordan. We're definitely going to talk about Danny Green. We're going to talk about all of that because this man worked with all of those players when they were just a dream. You know them now, but he knew them then more than all the other accolades that I gave him. I am proud to say this is my brother. This is my friend of more than 30 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Gee Charles.
Woo. Hey, can I go now?
Nah,
after that, I might as well go, man. That was awesome.
Little something. Go for it. Go ahead.
I love that, man. Thank you for inviting me, man. Seriously, man.
No,
I'm proud to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. We're going to get into some things, but before I jump into the 10th class of where we're going to start, I failed to mention that I said girl dad, but talk to me about the girls. Did I see correctly that the baby is going to law school?
Oof. The bougie one, I call her. She's the baby out the group. So, I have 4 kids. I have a son.
Okay.
Who could kick rocks, actually. The boys never count, right? Because I had 3 girls. And the youngest one, she's actually going to finish her last semester in law school. She did an undergrad at Syracuse along with a master's. She actually worked for Coach Bayham while she was up there.
Wow.
And Coach Red Autry. Red helped me set that up. And but she said, Dad, that's not enough. She wants to stay in my pocket because I always told my kids, as long as they stay in school, I'll pay for it.
Okay.
So she said, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to keep going then. And since she was 4 years old, she wanted to be a lawyer, sports lawyer.
Sports lawyer.
Exactly. So she's finishing up her last semester in San Diego. So
in San Diego, sports lawyer. I can ask you now, but with a dad like you, where did those hoop attorney dreams come from to be a sports lawyer?
I think, her, watching me all these years, and my daughter, Dominique, by the way, is her name. Dominique probably started working for me when she was 9 years old in Vegas.
Okay.
At the tournament. Okay. So she started out as one of the scorekeepers.
Okay.
And just kept moving, to different things. Every year she would do something different. So probably beside me, she's the one that knows every aspect of the organization. So getting to know the players. And at one point, she even one year interviewed all of them. Okay.
Wow.
And she said, Dad, I think I want to get in this world.
Wow.
Why can't I be the first woman to do this? Why can't I be the first woman to do that? Okay?
Yes.
I'm the daughter of Gary Charles. And that's how she looked at it.
Yes.
So her dream was, to her, not a dream. This is going to be my reality.
Right. This is a reality.
It's the reality.
And she is one semester away. I'm not even going to ask because I already know she's plugged. I know she's done all the right internships already. I already know that she's walking out into the right agency and she's coming in with the Rolodex. I'm dating myself with clients, bring it to the firm. That she's bringing to the firm.
No, it's been awesome. She worked for the NBA Summer League.
Okay.
For 2 summers.
Okay.
She worked for Wasserman last year, which is one of the biggest sports firm in the country. And with my guy, Thad Fouché, who your guys don't know, but that has represented like the Russell Westbrook, the Anthony Davis of the world. He's one of the best in the business. Matter of fact, now he has Shea Alexander,
Wow.
one of his clients, and Thad and I were there back in the days of Kobe. Just so we know.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
For connectivity.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I got to stay with the internship track for a second that your daughter is on. She's a law school student. She went to Syracuse. She worked for Coach Boeheim. She worked for Coach Red, who, I remember is just Red from playing ball and being a big star back in the day. But the internships in between, the NBA Summer League, working for the Wasserman Agency, one of the largest agency. These are the things I believe in, Gary, that prepare students for the workforce.
Kev, I tell most students, whether you're an athlete or not an athlete, the most important thing you can do to prepare yourself for life after college is to do an internship. I actually did 2 summer interns while I was at HBC school. And when I graduated, they had a job prepared for me. Matter of fact, that last summer, because I actually didn't graduate till December, all right, because I didn't want to take summer classes because I was doing interns. I said, I'm okay, doing another semester. So when my summer intern was over, my boss said to me, hey, what date do you graduate? I said, I think it's December 23rd. He said, okay, you're going to have a job here waiting for you when you get here. And by January 7th, I was working full time.
My God.
Full time. And the project I was on was still sitting on my desk waiting for me to come and complete it.
You're doing relevant work as an intern so much they made the decision to hire you. So shout out to my intern today who's working on some big projects for this podcast. She'll actually be a guest on the podcast in a couple of weeks. Okay. But let's do this, Gary Gee. It's so easy for us to talk about everything, but before we go everywhere else, I have to talk about the 10th annual Gary Charles Basketball Classic happening this weekend at Chaminade High School, where for 10 years, you've never forgotten where you came from. You're putting Long Island kids, public versus private, on a big stage. Let's talk about that a little bit, about what's going on this weekend.
Well, thank you for asking that, Kev. I always try to never forget where I come from. I'm a product of Roosevelt,
yes,
Long Island.
Yes.
I grew up with Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
I grew up with Chuck D.
Yes.
For Public Enemy.
Yes.
Steve Mills, the former president of the New York Knicks. And it was a pride thing coming from there. And by the way, it's the home of Dr. J, right? Dr.
Yes,
J
home of Dr. J.
Okay. So I always thought I needed to do something here to show relevance to Long Island. Mm-hmm. Because obviously my program started out as Long Island Panthers.
Yes.
Eventually I had to switch it to New York Panthers because the kids from New York were like, come on now. We're not from Long Island. So this event is a pride for that. Okay. And I am so proud at the lineup, that we have, this year. Like a Saturday alone, you have Scannon is going to play against Chaminade High School, nice, which is always one of the top teams in Long Island.
Yes.
We have Bayshore, which is ranked right now number 4 by Long Island basketball. They're ranked number 4 in Long Island, and they're going to play Cardoza, who's always good.
Yes, always.
So that's going to be, a barn burner. You have Half Hollow East, who's ranked number 3 right now,
nice,
against William Flores, who's ranked number 5 right now in Long Island. So that game is also going to be played on Saturday. You have St. Dominic's. They're going to be playing Xavier. Zavarian, excuse me. This weekend also. So it's just on and on and on. Brentwood is playing. So just these teams. Lawrence Woodmere, my boy Hank William. I know Hank since he was a young guy.
Shout out to Hank.
Exactly. I knew his dad.
Yes.
And everything else. So that's amazing. Then on Sunday, we have Varsity Media. They're streaming, for the games. And Baldwin is playing. And Baldwin is always good.
Always.
Yeah, so Baldwin's going to play William Floyd. So that's going to be another burner. On Sunday. Mount Vernon's coming in. Mount Vernon.
Earning Mount Vernon. Denzel Washington's hometown.
So they're coming in to play against Holy Trinity.
Nice.
On Sunday. We even have Southampton, who's coming way out there, and I think they're ranked number 12. And they're coming in to play Long Island Lutheran, the local team.
Okay, I got you.
National team.
Not the national local team. Okay.
Okay. But it's still good. It's still
Lutheran. You can't just show up and play.
There you go. And we have East Meadow, which is like a a great team this year.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Okay.
And they're coming in to play against Portland. Okay.
Wow.
And I think Saturday we have Port Washington, which is ranked number 2.
Yeah.
Long Island.
Yeah.
They're playing against St. Anthony's, which is ranked number 8.
Wow.
In the country. So there's really gonna be some, entertaining games. So come on out.
Yes.
And support and root, for your team.
Yes. Long Island, New York, Queens, money on in Mount Vernon. Whatever you're doing this Saturday, stop what you're doing. Show up at Chaminade High School in Mineola. Gee, there was a time where I knew all of the top players on Long Island. That time has passed. I'm more of a basketball dad. I haven't stayed close to the high school game like I did when my sons were playing. Probably a few of the kids I do know. I know Carter Wilson from Bay Shore, number 1 player in Suffolk County. I know his cousin Kingsley. He got next. He's coming. He's the son of Danielle Wilson, who was the player who had Baylor top in the country before Brittany Grimes came and took the spot because she was coming with him. And then I know the Barlack kid on Half Hollow Hills East. I coached his brother Derek at a young age, and I saw them play last year. So it's going to be loaded. I'm there all day. I have nothing going on Saturday but to see who got next in Long Island. So I try to make it to 2 games every year. I go to your classic,
right,
and then I go to the championships. I want to know who's going to be in it.
Right.
Then I want to see how you did during the season and who am I watching, so I have some connectivity to the kids. So, Gee, thank you on behalf of all of the parents, the basketball dads, the basketball moms, doing all the AAU, doing all the CYO, who want to see how their kids fare on the biggest stages against the city schools, against Catholic, against public, whatever it might be that you don't get a chance to do. Let me speak on behalf of all those parents and just say thank you for what you're doing and all that you've done for generations of local athletes. I can't limit it to Long Island because it's so much bigger than that. But let's come back to Long Island for a second. You mentioned being from Roosevelt, Chuck D, Eddie Murphy, home of Dr. J, Dr. Julius Erving. What was it like growing up in Roosevelt?
Roosevelt, at the time, when I first moved in, and just, for the record, I'm going to date myself. We moved in 72. Okay. And it was like a lot of white people in Roosevelt at that time. But I went to sleep and I woke up, they were gone.
Wow.
Okay.
Gentrification overnight.
Overnight. It was just that quick. So Roosevelt at the time growing up was probably like 92% minorities. Mm-hmm. It was unbelievable because it was middle class.
Yes.
And you knew everybody.
Yes.
Whether you talked to them or not, you knew them.
Yes.
You knew if they were from Roosevelt. We were a very close-knitted group. We all went to the park.
Yes.
It wasn't staying at home and playing video games. There was none of that.
No.
Okay. What do we have? Like 3 channels, I think, on
yes.
TV at the time.
Nothing to do.
Like
Nothing to see.
So, and my dad was one of those guys that you out. You're staying out. So I ended up having to play. I played baseball, football, basketball, track and field, and both. Okay. Wow. And we all did it together.
Yes.
And it was just an unbelievable feeling knowing that you had to leave. We did the baseball thing, which you won the game. You went to Carvel to get the ice cream and the whole bit. So it was like that type of situation. Okay. You also knew who was going to make it and who was not going to make it. Okay.
Wow.
Early. You knew. And I grew up with 4 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay. So
everybody knew the Lewis Charles boys.
Okay.
So to speak. Okay. Because my mom didn't play that.
I got you.
All right. So it wasn't a matter if you were going to college, it was where you were going to college.
That's the only question.
That's the way it was in my family. And my father probably, I think, was one of the first few minorities that worked for IBM in the computer field.
Wow.
And that's how I ended up getting in computers.
That's the inspiration.
That was my inspiration.
That's your inspiration. So he was in the computers early.
He was in there early. And at some point, he said to me, you better do this.
Nice.
All right. And I'm like, Pop, I'm not a geek. Because back then it was only geeks who did. I'm like, Pop, I'm not a geek.
Right.
I'm not doing this.
Right.
All right. And then he said,
I don't know if you notice how cool I am, Pops, but I'm kind of a different guy.
I'm a different type of dude, Pop. With me. So for the record, I've been wearing hats since I was 15 years old. Okay. Nice. That's just who I am. And I've been getting dressed since that long. Okay. So, but he said the right word. He said, you can make a lot of money off of this. And I said, now we're talking.
Got your attention.
Now he got my attention, and it was amazing because there wasn't too many of us.
Right.
Okay, in this.
Right.
And as you mentioned, I started out with Eaton Corporation in Deer Park.
Yes.
Okay, in Deer Park, and there wasn't too many of us in there. but it was what it was. I was making money, and I had to adapt and adjust because sometimes I would look around like, what am I doing here?
Yes.
What am I doing here
Yes.
with these people? Because
Yes.
these people were brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah, they really were, and that's all they knew. And I was that cool kid. So they were like, Gary, can we hang? I'm like, hey, we can work, but we can't hang.
No, that's two different things.
Two different things.
That's two different
But
things.
I got a chance to see the side of them and like, these are the people that's making the world go around.
Yes.
You know, so to speak. Okay, and I never forgot that, Kev.
Yes. Well, those are the genius lessons that you took from corporate that you brought into the basketball world. So let's talk HBCU. I know you're HBCU grad, but I don't know which school.
I went to Cheney University.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, and at that time it was Cheney State.
Okay.
But here's things that people don't know at that time. Coach John Cheney, who ended up coaching Temple University, Hall of Famer, was at Cheney at the time. Actually, was my gym teacher. Okay. At that
Are
time.
you serious?
And the year before I got there, they had won the Division II championship.
Wow.
And that's part of the reason why I went there. There was a school fair, a college fair at Nassau Coliseum. Right over here.
Okay.
Okay. And I went to it. And I saw there was a bunch of young ladies there like, oh, my God, I'm going to go here. I want to go here. And I said, well, if they're going, I'm going. And because they were showing the guys winning championships and anything, I'm like, that's cool. That's where I want to be.
I fit.
And I fit there. And I went there. But so not only was Coach John Cheney there, and by the way, the lesson really I got out of him, he would stop class 10 minutes early to give you a life lesson. He would make us sit down and then talk about how to be a man, okay? What you need to do to prepare yourself in the world that we were living in. I never forgot those moments.
Books closed. Let's talk about real life.
Let's talk about real life. And then he even talked about, and just so those who don't know, Cheney is 30 minutes outside of Philadelphia, so it's in Pennsylvania. And where Cheney is at, we're in the mountains, in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a car, you're not going anywhere.
That's it. You're locked on campus.
You're locked in. And I was a freshman. I had a car, so you can imagine. I was one of two freshmen with a car. But on there was even a house in which that Harriet Tubman used to use for the Underground Railroad.
Wow.
So there was history there. So
That's
I learned
rich.
all these things. And then Coach Vivian Stringer, who's a Hall of Fame coach,
Forget about it.
was the women coach.
Wow.
You know, at the time. And we were the only HBC school to this day to ever make it to the Women National Championship the first year.
Shout out to Cheney. Women's National Championship game, Vivian Stringer. Nothing but legends in this conversation. Two last Roosevelt stories before we come into the national legends that people want me to ask you about. You made me laugh the other day. You said Eddie Murphy, as kids,
Yep.
Young lady interested in you, interested in him. You took her. You said Eddie Murphy brings it up to this day.
Oh my God. You know, well, actually what ended up happening is that I was seeing the young lady because at some point I transferred school.
Okay.
I ended up going to Trustful Clark High School.
Okay.
My last 3 years.
Wow.
So the young lady was in Roosevelt. So we started to see each other. But people in Roosevelt High School didn't necessarily know that, all right? And Roosevelt used to have a skating rink.
Yes. Shout out to Roosevelt Skating Rink. I know it well.
You know it well.
Nassau Boulevard.
There
Let's
you
go.
There you go. There you go. Well, I used to work there.
Okay.
Okay. And it's funny, I was working the 11 to 3 shift.
Okay.
All right. And so her sister, who went to Trustful Clark with me, said, Guy, I want you to meet my sister. Because I used to look out for her. I said, okay. And boom. So I was actually seeing this young lady for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when her and Eddie went out, it was in college because she went to Howard. And she didn't go for one semester. She connected with Eddie. And Eddie was doing his comedy routines and everything else. So around that time, I came home. And she had stopped by. And I found out that she was going through with Eddie,
right.
A friend of mine. And we had broken up. Don't get me wrong. Okay, so we're friends. But I think she was trying to connect. And I went over there and I said, I just found out you're going out with my boy.
Right.
Are you crazy? You my boy. I said, let me get out of here before he might think something. She said, no. He's about to go do his comedy routine in Huntington.
So this is Eddie Murphy performing local. This is before Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
this is before the movie.
This is before the movie.
This is the grind.
This is the grind. All right. And she said, no, hang around. My mom wants to see you. I said, don't worry. He's got to go do his show. 10 minutes later, beep, it's Eddie. Driving his white, he had like a white Camaro. I said, You can't make this up.
No.
So I go out there. Eddie, what's up? Kev, what's up, man? What you doing? Eddie's good. I hear you doing your thing. You're doing comedy. Good for you. Because Eddie's been a clown since 6th grade. I mean, he never changed. And I said, that's awesome. He said, you got to come check me out. I'm like, I got you. So I leave. The next day, my brother going, yo, Eddie was talking about you at the park. He said, you try to take his girl. I said, what? So him and I, at some point, we need to have a meeting of the mind.
Right.
Let him know. And I had to explain to him, Eddie, before you even existed in her mind.
Right.
Let me tell you what was really up. He's like, what?
Right.
You before me? Because, that killed his ego. Yeah, that matters.
That matters. So you got Eddie,
and
then you're growing up with Chuck D,
That's
Public Enemy.
That's my guy.
Talk about Chuck D for a minute. Give the people one Chuck D story.
Chuck is unbelievable when you think about it. So Chuck was quiet as you can be. Like Chuck a lot of times stayed to himself. So Chuck wore glasses. So we used to call him, Poindexter and Mr. Four Glasses and all of that. I love Chuck. And Chuck also went to Trespass Park the last 3 years. So I would get on the bus and Chuck would always be sitting in the back just staring at you like this. So it was like, so finally later, for this guy to become the DJ is like, Chuck, get out of here.
One of the loudest voices in hip hop, one of the most prominent voices in hip hop music, fight the power, everything in the world. I had nothing so much love and respect for Chuck D. But early Chuck D was a quiet kid on the back of the bus with glasses.
Unbelievable. Oh, yeah. You see him on the baseball field. He played second base, the baseball field, minor league and everything else. You know what I mean? And he was just a guy like, he minded his business and everything else. The last thing I expected Chuck to be is become one of the most all-time rappers and voice.
Yes.
For it. And even now, sometimes when we see each other, I laugh. Chucky, and we tell stories and we laugh, because that's real.
Yes.
We know each other. And just so people understand, back then, Chuck and his group used to perform every Sunday at Roosevelt Park. So it got to the point, because they was DJing at that point, that people from the tri-state would come every Sunday to Roosevelt Park.
Oh, yeah.
So not just hear him play, but obviously playing basketball, baseball.
Centennial Park, legendary.
No, not Centennial.
Not Centennial.
No.
No.
It was Roosevelt Park, because Roosevelt was the nice park. Centennial was considered where the hoods were going. Okay,
that's the one I know.
Okay, there you go. That's where the thugs were going.
That's where the legend of Dr. J is. Centennial Park, because guys older than me from Wine Down that they stand on playing well against Dr. J at Centennial Park in Roosevelt. They stand on that.
Absolutely. Now the other thing is Doc also would be at Roosevelt Park. Matter of fact, there's still a plaque right by the court.
Okay.
It's like Dr. J's court.
Wow.
Okay. And by the way, shout out to Centennial, because great summer league.
Yes.
What happened? I'm just saying that the good kids went to Roosevelt.
I understand
the bad
difference.
kids went to Centennial.
I understand the difference. A little bit safer. The family's good at Roosevelt.
There you go.
Mama's not letting you go down to Centennial. I've been to this day, till Trey, shout out to Trey, my youngest son, who's coming up next on the podcast. I've been there with Trey 5-7 years ago in tournaments, and it's hard for the kids to play, let's say, through the aroma. Let's say
you understand.
Hard to play.
Okay.
I do understand.
There's a scene when they did a show, a bio on Charlie Murphy.
Okay.
And Charlie Murphy said, "We now here at Centennial Park." He said, "This is where the bad guys will be at." He said it.
Wow.
The good kids went to Roosevelt Park. All right. He says, "But I used to be here at Centennial." And then he said, "Now let's get the hell out of here." I ain't saying he
Charlie
did.
Murphy.
Okay,
Oh
Charlie
my
Murphy.
God.
So Charlie even said that.
Wow.
On that. So those are true stuff. So Chuck and I used to perform at Roosevelt Park.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I remember the first time I ever heard scratching. It was by Richard Griffin. We also grew up with Professor Griff.
Griff.
But
That's
that was Richard Griff to us. And so he was part of the group, obviously. And I always remember that. And I would look at them like, what are y'all doing?
Right.
Y'all? Come on now. Don't believe it.
Right.
But they were unbelievable, man.
And
I was in this, I was in the 70s. I was in, mid-70s when things really get going with rap.
Shout out to Chuck D, Public Enemy, Flavor Flav, Professor Griff. You want to be an S1 Griff, I tell you when. Come on now. I got to pivot. You don't want me starting no lyrics. 9-8 Posse, you better stop it. You better stop.
Fact.
D, let's pivot. Let's talk about your consistency with being an HBCU grad and what you've been working on the last 4 or 5 years with ABIS.
It's really close to me. I think that, as I mentioned to you, I always wanted to remember where I came from. All right. And watching the George Floyd murder, really did something to me. And it pushed me to put a video out on Twitter. At the time, obviously everybody was home. Mm-hmm. And my message, the gist of the message was, I started saying, hey, white people, I understand right now you're uncomfortable watching us march. But understand, as a black man, we walk uncomfortable every day. Mm-hmm. I understand no one should be burning any building down.
Right.
I just wish your ancestors felt the same way when they burned down Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and other areas in the country. White coaches, your silence are coming out real loud to me. But black coaches, what are we going to do about it?
Right.
So that was the impetus of getting ABI started, Advancement of Blacks in Sports. So I reached out to Leonard Hamilton from Florida State. But I first reached out to Dave Later, who was coaching DePaul at the time, one of my closest friends. I said, Dave, we need to do something. He agreed. We reached out to Leonard. Then we reached out to Dawn Staley.
Nice.
And Dawn said, I'm all in. And for those who don't know, Dawn Staley is the head coach of South Carolina basketball.
Yes.
And then I said, I need to reach out to Vivian Stringer.
Yes.
Okay. But when I called Vivian, because she was at Rutgers at the time, and we started talking about Cheney. We talked about Cheney for an hour.
Wow.
To this day, one of her favorite places ever was, working at Cheney University. So I reached out to them. And next thing you knew, we had most of the minority coaches across the country as part of this. And the grassroots coaches.
Yes.
Because now I started reaching to the top grassroots coaches. Make this a thing. And then we started doing Zoom.
Right.
Shaheen Holloway was part of it.
Okay.
But he was at St. Peter's.
Okay.
At the time, but you could just see he was coming.
Right.
You could see it when he taught.
Right.
Okay. Con Neptune, who's at Villanova now, is the assistant coach. Part of it. Kamani Young.
Nice.
All part of the organization. Kelvin Sampson.
Nice.
Wow. all part of it. Mike Anderson, obviously St. John, and we were trying to form a plan. And we had we brought in the women, the women coaches. Nikki Fargas, who at the time was the head coach at LSU.
Yes.
All part of it. And now Nikki is the president for the Las Vegas Aces, who won 2 national champs. Okay, how about that? So Nikki's on our board.
Right.
All right. And we just had things that we wanted to do.
Right.
And so a couple of the things we do a watch list. Too many search firms and coach ADs tell you, yeah, we don't know the minorities. We don't know who to hire. Really?
You've heard that in corporate before. So hear it in basketball.
Here we go. I said, okay. Well, we're gonna give you the answer to the test.
Okay.
Here it is. Here's the watch list. We
right.
call it the watch list, but it's like I'm giving you the answer to the test.
Right.
It's the sheet. So what we do is every year, do the coaches. They vote on this. Okay. For the top assistant coaches every year, and the top mid-major coaches who are prepared to get to the highest level.
Excellent. So
we give that to the AD search firm for every sport.
Okay.
For every sport.
We're not just talking basketball. No, we're talking everything.
Football, baseball, track and field, volleyball. You name it, we're doing it. And now the search firm AD are not asking, can we not do administration? All right. And since we've done it, I think over 40% of openings have gone to minorities.
Outstanding.
All right, so we're really serious about this. That's one of the things that we do. Another thing that we do is a financial coaching program. And shout out to JP Morgan, who saw the light and gave us a grant. And what we've done is over the years, we seek out 12 different colleges and we teach the athletes about NIL, budget and saving, credit, investment. And then we give them $100,000 in fake money to invest.
Okay.
And play the game.
But that's the game of life.
There you go. And then the winner, we give them X amount of dollars, and then we invite them to a gala that we do every year. So every year we do a gala, and this year, because it's this year now, it's going to be on June 28th at the National, the Marriott, at the National Harbor in Baltimore.
Nice.
Okay. And this year we're honoring Ray Lewis. We're honoring Krista Chin, who works for the NBA. So we're honoring, people, like that. We've honored Dr. J. We've
Yes.
honored Chuck D.
Yes.
We honored Chuck D with the Social Activist Award.
Nice.
A couple of years ago. We honored Ben Crump last year.
Nice.
With the same thing.
Nice.
So we don't just honor sports people. We honor people who are open up doors, who have opened up doors or continuing to doing things for us. We honored Tracy McGrady.
Nice.
Last year we honored Muhammad Ali's wife, Lonnie Ali. Last year. And by the way, we don't just leave it to just minorities. We also include whites, because I feel that we didn't get here by ourselves.
No man is an island. It takes everybody.
It takes everyone.
You mentioned when you started, I know you personally, you have relationships with every black and white coach in the country, with every black and white major organization, both in college and in the NBA. Fast forward from George Floyd being the impetus, how has the rest of America rallied around ABIS in addition to JP Morgan or other corporations showing up and supporting ABIS financially to help with the advancement of blacks in sports?
So we've had some other, companies come in and support at the banquet. They'll put in their money, they'll sponsor it, things of that nature. All right. I think the coaches love it for a whole lot of reasons, because we're giving them opportunity to shed light on them.
Mm-hmm.
So we do a ABI's day party every year at the Final Four.
Yes.
So coaches come in and we talk, we joke, things of that nature. Okay, so we're known now.
Good.
All right. You never get the amount of help you really want. You know how that goes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we also knew that once people started to go back out, some things were going to change.
Right.
And it did, but we had built it, the foundation.
Right.
Because it's all about the foundation, right?
Right.
And now that we have the foundation, we're still able to continue, to do what we need to do.
Well, I thank you for letting me be a part of it locally. Maybe come out to events, sponsor some events. You had me and my sons on the golf course sponsoring events. We got a picture. We got our Tiger hood on out at one of your events. So we certainly enjoyed ourselves for an incredible cause. Let's begin to walk into basketball, but let's talk about it from the NIL standpoint. So my question is this. 20 years ago, to be a college coach, you probably need a strong basketball resume, definitely have to prove yourself as a recruiter, and hopefully you're good with X and O's and you can deliver a championship to the school. Today, if I were to say, Guy, can you get me in? Can you get me a coaching job? How important is it that coach knows how to raise money for NIL purposes so they can pay their college athletes?
Well, here's what I tell people just in life. You don't always have to have know the answer, but you have to know how to go get the answer.
Okay.
By that, I mean, even if you know the answer, you may go find that person that does know the answer. So the coach himself may not have to be the one to know how to raise that money, but the assistant coach or someone in that staff better know how to do it.
Okay.
So it don't necessarily have to be you, but you better know who that person is.
I got you.
And you talk about 20 years ago. I would say to you 20 years ago, obviously, Sonny Vaccaro was in the forefront regarding NIL, and so was I. And we used to get hated on by some of the same people who think it's great now. Okay. And one thing I've always said, that I'm always amazed at how long it takes people to finally do the right thing.
Yes.
Because obviously, at one point, they didn't think we should drink from the same water fountain.
Right.
We should use the same bathroom. We should go to the same swimming pool. So it's the same way as I look at this right now, in that people who are upset about the NIL. Well, I remember when. Okay. And here's the thing. I also remember when these coaches were getting a shoe deal and getting money. I remember they didn't give those kids $1. And they were forcing these kids to wear the sneakers. You okay then? Right. All right. So now for you to say, some of these coaches will say, I don't believe in this. Really? You had no problem making your extra money, back then. And just so people understand, the NCAA is making billions of dollars.
Billions.
And it's because of these kids.
Right.
And I will admit to you all, I'm one of the people who have said, sometimes I look at this, or I looked at this akin to being a slave.
Right.
Okay. In that you think that because you let me in your house, that everything's okay.
Right.
All right. Oh, but I'm giving you a scholarship to school. No, you're not.
Right.
Because here's what people don't understand. You allow the kid to come in school. But if you want the top players, you force them, they have to go to school first. You force them. You can go to school your first semester. Okay. You got to get a 2.0. After that, for your second semester, because now you're eligible for second semester, you don't have to go to class again.
At all.
and then you leave to go to NBA.
Yeah.
So what education are you giving me?
Right.
So let's just stop it and be real about it, like this is, a business.
Let's be honest. Let me go backwards. I'm using acronyms that we're familiar with, but I want to make sure I don't lose the audience. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. So what some people don't understand is when back in the day, I'll say, if you're fortunate enough to have a major Division I athlete to go to one of these programs, ACC, Big East, Pac-10, you call it conference, whatever it is, that kid, I think of the Fab Five, may not be able to afford their own jersey. I think of my own nephew, who is a major athlete at Wake Forest University. The first year I go to see him, I want to buy some gear to support for the game. And there was no Wake Forest basketball gear for sale at all. There wasn't any local mall or on campus where I could even buy a Wake Forest basketball. The next year, he's joined by Chris Paul on the team. They do very, very well. And they also build a full store. And his picture's up. Chris Paul is up. The rest of the 2 or 3 elite players, they're up. And they did extremely well. And they visited a couple of Sweet 16s. But from a pocket standpoint, they weren't able to see anything at that time. And people don't know. You think it's expensive when you're a young parent coaching and trying to have your fees for the tournament or trying to travel to Vegas. That's very expensive. But imagine your child is playing at Division I level and they have a game that everybody's watching on TV at an elite site and you can't afford to go. That's different. And when those kids look in the stands, they're looking for mom and dad or uncle, whatever their support system is, to be there. And they can't, because you can't just jump on a flight every weekend and get a hotel and be there. So NIL, name, image, and likeness, this is an amazing thing. I never look to the past. I'm always focused on the future. But can you imagine maybe some of your elite athletes that you've had in the past that just didn't make it that next level to the pros? What would they have possibly earned in college?
It's interesting. I want to tell a story about the NIL, and then I'm going to tell you about a couple of players. Jason Kidd, when he played for University of California, he had just won a great game. And I think he walked upstairs and they were actually selling his jersey. And he said, I couldn't even afford to buy my own jersey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember another young man who had won the national championship, and he said it felt great, but he even had $5 in his pocket to buy a slice of pizza.
I know who you're talking about.
And people don't understand those things. Okay. So it's funny because when NIL came out, Lamar Odom called him.
Yes.
All right. And Lamar obviously went on and did great.
Yes.
But he was like, hey, coach.
Yes.
How much money could I have made?
Yes.
When I was in high school and in college, back then. And we laughed.
Yeah.
Because, he was one of the top guys in college at the time. And I remember Jason Frazier called him.
Yes.
Jason Frazier, who those who don't know, actually was probably the best defensive player I ever coached.
Okay.
In fact, the year he played for the Panthers, I think we won 5 or 6 championships.
Yeah.
And we including beating LeBron in them too.
Yes.
Okay. And he said, what could I have made? And by the way, he would have been a number 21 pick if he came out of high school.
If he went straight.
All right, because I had gotten that call. 21, 22. Because I remember Carmelo was asking, was he coming out? Because we had beat Carmelo that year too. Yeah, Melo, I remember that too, man. So we always joke about that, Melo and I. But here's my point. Jason would have made all kinds of money, back then. Charlie went on waiver.
Yes.
Okay, would have made all kinds of money. Danny.
Yes.
But because he was in North Carolina,
yes,
he would have gotten a slice of the
pie.
All
yes.
Right? I'm going to go even further. The Wally Zerbiak.
Yes,
Wally was on
Long Island.
Okay, and by the time he became a junior, it was the Wally World out there in Miami, Ohio.
Right.
All right. He goes on and played 10 plus years in the NBA, but the best shooter I ever coached.
Yes.
And I think about guys like that. Now, in Wally's situation,
he was okay.
He was okay. Okay, he was okay. Same thing with Joe King.
Right.
Joe King, father, by the way, just so you know, was a well-known tennis player.
Yannick Noah.
Exactly. So Joe was okay, but other guys their life would have changed. I can remember a story in which we came back from a trip, and I'm dropping this young man off in Brooklyn, and this is late, And as we're dropping him off, we look down the block and his mother's on the corner.
Yeah.
Okay? Selling stuff.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
These are the stories that goes on.
That people don't know how hard it is, where these kids came from, where the toughness comes from, where the desire to go to the next level comes from, and it gets lost. It gets lost in it. So there can be no judgment about NIL. Some of the players I coached at a young age are in college right now. They're not at the big schools, but they have NIL money, and it's changed their family's dynamic. I'll leave their privacy. I'll leave it at that. But it's so worth it. It's one of the most beautiful things in the world. So rest of the world, adjust it, get used to it. People say it's ruins college sports. I'll say it's the beginning of college sports because it's more fair now because everybody's not going to make it. If you can play in college, you're one of the 1% of Division I level, that might be it.
Kev,
that might be it.
You know what I told coaches when we used to argue about it, all the time, is this. Did you ever consider that by giving these young men NIL, they might stay longer?
Yes.
Have you ever considered that?
Yes.
And right now, that's what's happening. Some of these kids are staying, longer because they know this is it. Where you going?
Nowhere.
Where before some of them left because they need to make the money for their family. They don't understand that kid in West Bubba Fat, Mississippi.
Yeah.
They understand what it's costing his family to survive.
Right.
And $100 means a lot, to them. So now with this, more kids will stay. Now, I also told people it might take 5 to 8 years for us to adapt to it,
right,
to get it right, like anything else.
Right.
Okay, it's gonna take a period of time. But when I hear coaches, I can't do this, like, really?
Yeah.
You didn't turn down that shoe money.
No.
When you had the opportunity, but you want these kids to turn it down. Who's making this money for you? Who giving you your livelihood?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah. No.
Stop it.
Nothing fair about that.
Stop it.
So let's pivot and talk about mentorship and work our way into basketball. One of the things I do, I've been in the insurance business for 37 years now. This is year 38. One of the things I do now is I mentor people because I've had great mentors. Let's talk about your mentor in the basketball business. I'm going to say his name. Let's just talk about him. Let's talk about Sonny Vaccaro.
Sonny Vaccaro is, and I know now everyone's calling me the godfather of grassroots basketball, but that's the real godfather, okay? Sonny. And Sonny saw something in me at the time that I wasn't even thinking. At the time when Sonny and I finally connected, I was working on Wall Street.
Okay.
I'm doing my thing. I'm fine. But I had a young man by the name of Zenon Hamilton, who at the time was a top 5 player in the country, along with Felipe Lopez and Allen Iverson, Antoine Walker, and people like that. So he reached out to me and he saw something when he met me. And at the end of it, he said to me, "Will you roll with me?"
Wow.
And he stuck his hand out. He said, "Will you roll with me?" And I remember looking at his wife. We were in a hotel room with the Final Four. And I looked at his wife, who was beautiful.
Yes.
I looked at Sonny. I looked at his wife. I looked at Sonny. And I said, you know what? Any man looking like this in his role and everything, with a woman looking this fine, must know what he's doing. I'm in. And I stuck my hand out. And so I became the first person to ever get a shoe deal from a shoe company. So people don't even know that.
Tune in. You became the first person to get a shoe deal from a shoe company. Details, please.
Right. So what Sonny said was, okay, I'm going to support you. And he sent me out. He said, go get your uniform. Prior to that, people don't understand that we was wearing bar uniforms. We was wearing white T-shirts with numbers on the back with the magic markers and everything else.
Yes.
And so Zenon Hamilton was the impetus of us getting started. Right. And then he said, do you know anyone else? And I said, I can get you other programs. And I started to get other programs. I remember reaching out to my guy, Tony Squire from Richmond. I went and got Curtis Malone from DC Assault.
Yes.
At the time out of DC. So I was the one that started,
every other program with that shoe company, you could shout them out if you want or not, if you don't want. I'll leave it at that. We know what it was. But those teams, not only were they good, but you sent kids back to the neighborhood with a look. And that made other kids want to have those particular, that made those kids want to have those sneakers. And it was game changing, the multiplier from what you did. So you mentioned Sonny Vaccaro and Lamar Odom. So I have to share 2 personal stories with you and I. Mm-hmm. First, Kevin, Danny, they're playing for you, Long Island Panthers. We saw it in Vegas. We're in Cali at Lamar Odom's house. And we're having fun. Lamar's playing with the kids, sharing stories. And my wife called me, so you having a good time? I'm like, yeah, the tournament's great. What's up? She said, well, enjoy yourself. this time. I'm like, why? He said, well, I'm expecting. So when you come home, you know, we got one coming. So that's my son, Trey. That's when I found out about it at Lamar Odom's house. So that's one day in
That is
Cali.
unbelievable.
The next day, we go to Sonny Vaccaro's house where this wife that you speak of cooks mac and cheese for us. We're in Sonny's yard. My son, my nephew, my son Nico just walked in who was here. They've never forgotten being in his pool.
How about that?
And him having his own hummingbirds, people. They don't sell hummingbirds. You can't go and buy hummingbirds. But Sonny Vaccaro had his own hummingbirds at his house. So I thank you for those personal experiences. So when I see Sonny, when I see a movie like Air come out and you're properly featured in the movie, I just love it. So coming here, talking to Kevin, coming here, he said, Dad, tell Guy this. Tell Guy that he is to, as Frank Lucas was to Bumpy Johnson, that's who Gary Charles is to Sonny Vaccaro. What do you have to say about that?
Well, hey, Kev, you're unbelievable. First of all, K Jr., all right? You're unbelievable. But let me tell you what's amazing that you said that. So we honored Tracy McGrady, as I mentioned a couple years ago.
Yes.
Now, just so everyone know, we weren't going to put him in the camp because his coach didn't want him in the camp.
Wow.
And Pam said, we're not doing that. We're going to put him in. So Tracy is like number 225, something like that. His last kid in camp.
All right, so wait, I know what that means, but for the people, we're talking about T-Mac, Tracy McGrady.
Yep.
Top 25 ever, is that fair?
Yep.
That's fair?
Yep.
And he's ranked number 225 in the country.
No, he's not even ranked. That's the jersey we gave him because it's the last jersey for the camp. So he gets the last, come on in type thing, okay? Tracy. So obviously we all know what he did. So we honored him a couple years ago, and he is telling the story to people in that coming in there to the camp, and I was so happy that my grassroots coach was able to get me in. He said, but I walk in and I see two guys. All right, one of them, as Son Kelly. He said, but when I looked at him, I thought it was Don Corleone. Okay? Was the guy. He said, and the other guy, I thought was Bumpy Johnson, Gary Charles. So the place is going crazy. So it's amazing that Kevin is saying that.
Yes.
That's literally the way T-Mac described it. He said, this guy is wearing a linen suit. He's all decked out with his hat on, the whole bit. He said, I'm telling you, I thought it was Bumpy Johnson.
Wow.
Okay. So that's
my God.
That's Tracy McGrady. That's literally how he described me and Sonny, over there. And it was just too funny. And I said, so Sonny's like, why would he say that? So Sonny took it the other way. I said, Sonny, in our community,
yes,
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Every rap record references everything Italian and everything good.
He said,
so that's the biggest compliment.
I said,
the biggest compliment.
You can't get a bigger compliment than that. So I had to explain that to Sonny.
Not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good.
It made good, Sonny.
Oh my God.
He was like, oh, okay.
Oh my God.
So that's true.
Okay.
And by the way, those swimming days, it's amazing. Everybody remember our time, but they remember off the court. Every kid that went to Sonny's house, remember that. Every kid that went to Lamar. In fact, Joe Kim was on that team.
Yeah.
Acting like a nut, back there, when Lamar had a buffet spread for us. And everybody remember those times, man.
Then we played a lot of games. I can't tell you a lot of details about the games. I remember the life experiences that we had off the court. It stays with me. Years later, I don't remember all of my sons in their sports. I can't tell you the stats they scored from games. I remember the car conversations. Those are the things that stay with you. So, car conversations. Let's talk about Kobe Bryant. Let's talk about the best. Let's talk about it. Brickster, let's bring it up. Let's talk about Kobe, because off your page, I pulled a picture with you and a young Kobe. So I want to start before the world knew Kobe. You told me a story a couple of years ago of how you used to come back to New York and you used to have to drive down to PA to visit Kobe to talk to him and his family. So share that with my audience, please.
So, audience, listen up. Life's amazing, right? When you think about it, right, Kev? Those are the days of the rotary phones and everything else. There was no cell phone, back then. If you went home when the phone rang, they didn't get you. Okay? People didn't get you. Okay. So what ended up happening is that Joe Bryant, Jellybean, his dad,
yes,
used to be assistant coach at LaSalle.
Okay.
he started recruiting one of my players.
Okay.
I believe I want to say it was Ed Posey out of Hempstead. I think it was Eddie. And and because he was a dad of a player, it didn't matter if it was a live period or dead period. And so for those who don't know what the difference, live period meant when college coaches could come and see a player. Dead period meant that college coaches could not come and see you play when you went to these events. But because Joe was a dad, it couldn't stop him from going to see his son play. So Joe would be there at the event.
Got it.
So, and his son would be playing for a team called San Juan.
Oh, yeah.
San Juan out of Philadelphia.
Yes.
Okay? So he kept saying to me, "Yeah, I really need to see, I need you to see my son play and give me your opinion on my son." You know, and typically we were so good, we would get it done. I'll go see him play. And then one day we're in this event, and it was called War in the Woods.
Okay.
The War in the Woods was in South Jersey.
Okay.
It's like you went South Jersey and you're driving, all of a sudden, you make a left right in the middle of the woods. You make the left, and as you go in, there's a spacious couple basketball courts outside. By the way, that's the other thing. It's outside.
Okay.
So this event was outside,
Early.
almost like a parks.
Right.
Okay. And this guy has a humongous house. He had a cabin, all of that. And I'm sitting there watching Kobe play. And I'm like, And prior to that, I watched him before, but the more I watched, I'm like, And there's a scene, and that would be part of the movie, in which Kobe comes down, he makes a jump shot.
Okay.
And his dad looks at him and said, "Tasman, you see that?"
Okay.
I said, "Yeah, I saw it. It hit me in my rear." Okay. Kobe comes down. "You see that?" I said, "Yeah, I saw it." Because at the same time as he recruit, he also know I'm the guy with Sonny Vaccaro.
Right.
Okay. So next time Kobe goes, boom,
Woo.
dunk, woo.
Second
And
level.
then dad said, "You see that?" Boom, he nails me and I'm like, "Oh yes, I see it. Don't hit me no more." Kobe comes, says the same thing. "Did you see that?" "I seen it, man." And then I said to Joe, "By the way, where's your wife?" I had seen your wife before. She said, "Oh, they're over there." And I looked over. His wife was playing miniature golf with one of the daughters, Shay.
Okay.
Kobe's younger sister. I said, "Wow." That left an imprint in me. And I got home. I called Sonny. I said, "Sonny, I think I found the next one."
Wow.
"So what are you talking about?" "The next one is Felipe."
Wow.
I said, "Sonny, no disrespect to Felipe. Tell you, I think I just found the next one." "What's his name?" "His name is Kobe Bryant." And he goes, and everybody understand, this is before social media, this is before all the scouts, this is before all of that. Okay, I need you to understand.
What's nuts, Gee, is that you had to say his full name, not Kobe. Everybody knows about one name.
Yeah.
You got to say his name is Kobe Bryant.
He's a young kid. And Sonny thought about it for a second. He goes, "Jelly Bean Bryant's son?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh my God, Jelly Bean played in my Dapper Dan Classic."
Wow.
His
Early.
first Dapper Dan Classic. So Sonny said, "So you want to bring him in camp?" I said, "We need to put him in camp." So we put him in ABCD camp. And it was amazing. Even though I think he is a top underclassman in the camp, Kobe was upset with himself. "Mr. Vaccaro, I feel bad. I didn't play the way I thought I would. I'll do better next year." That was Kobe.
Wow.
All I saw was greatness.
Are you serious?
Okay? And I didn't want too many people to know. So now what ended up happening is now I'm meeting with the family.
Okay.
I'm driving out there. And sometimes Sonny would come with me. And Thad Fouché.
Okay.
Thad is not an agent at this point. Now he's one of the top agents in the business.
Right.
But he wasn't at that time. At that time, he was coaching the New Orleans Jazz grassroots team. Chris Duan came from there, and other pros came from that program. Anyway, so it was the three of us. We were the three musketeers. I said, "God, this is the guy." But look, Sonny said, "Look, we're gonna have to keep this quiet."
Okay.
Because we didn't want anybody to know. Keep it low. So Sonny moved to New York for like 3 or 4 months in Manhattan.
Okay.
People thought he had moved because of Felipe.
Right.
Or because Lamar, who's coming up.
Right.
We let people think whatever they want to think.
Right.
So what would happen is we would go out there sometime, and before he moved there, I would go there. Joe would come to my house. And one time we had an appointment. I totally forgot. Him and I had an appointment. He kept calling me. I'm not home. So he showed up to my house, And it wasn't until a week later when he finally got me. He said, "What happened to you?" I said, "What happened to what?"
Right.
He's like, "I was at your house."
Oh my God.
I said, "Joe," and mind you, it's a 2.5 hour drive. I said, "So what did you do?" He said, "I was counting your flowers. You had the green one, the red ones, the blue ones." That's what he was doing to kill time. People don't understand. That's what the time was back then.
No social media, no cell phone, no text, no email.
No, man.
He catch you live, or I miss you.
No, miss you. But you know what? But that was my guy.
Yeah.
And he said, "Don't worry, man. We got this." All right. And it took some pride with Adidas to tell Adidas, "Do this. We're gonna take a high school kid to." Again, people think it's just normal. It wasn't normal back then.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm like, and Sonny's like, "Yeah, you sure?"
Yeah.
I said, "Sonny, I'm sure." When I'm sweating back of my neck. Okay. And we got it done. It just show you how life, goes. And I remember when we made the decision and we put it out there. And is another one of my favorite Kobe stories. So Kobe, after we announced it, we in Manhattan, we announced it. And we had a hotel. I want to say it was like the Regal Royale Hotel.
Okay.
Okay, I remember that. And Kobe was like, "Mr. Charles," he always calls me Mr. Charles. "Hey, you mind? Can we go take a walk?" I said, "Yes." So we're on the elevator. And it's funny, I always remember this. It was a young lady that was on a show. I forget the name of the show. But she was in the hotel. She had no idea who she was next to.
Right.
Matter of fact, Kobe and I were looking at her like, she's the star.
Right.
You know what I mean? We walked out and we're walking on we're walking on Broadway.
Okay.
All right. Kobe, the week before, I think, maybe we had just gone to the prom with Brandy. So all of a sudden, some people see him, "Kobe," and a couple guys said it, and then young lady said, "Who's that?" Said, "Oh, that's the guy that went to the prom with Brandy."
Right.
They knew Brandy.
Right.
Now they said Kobe.
Not Kobe.
Not
the
Kobe.
guy that went with Brandy.
The guy that went with Brandy. So Kobe looked at them and looked at me and said, "Yeah, they're gonna remember my name one day."
Wow.
They're gonna remember my name. Now, here's the biggest thing to the story. Kobe, as we're walking, he said, "Mr. Charles, where do you think I'm going to go in the draft?"
Okay.
So he's already thinking. And I said, "Well, you're a wing. So I think Antoine Walker is going to go before you because he just won the national championship. I think he had just won. He's 6'8", does this, does that, blah, blah. He's going to go before you. And I think Kerry Kittle is going to go before you." Kerry was at, Villanova. And by the way, we used to go visit Kerry too.
Okay.
To watch him work out so people think we was going after Kerry.
Got you.
And Kerry played for Thad Fouché.
Got it.
For the Jazz.
So
that was all the things we were doing to have people go that way. We didn't want Nike to know. That's really let me just be real with you. We didn't want Nike to know. Okay? So we're doing all these things. So when I said that to Kobe, we walking and he hit me. But I'm not realizing it because I'm just walking. I'm looking, around. It hit me again. He goes, "Mr. Charles." That's what's up, Kobe. He says, "Antoine Walker's not better than me."
Wow.
Kobe, I think at the time, 16, maybe turned 17. And I need you to understand, okay, and I know it's hard, everybody. This is a high school kid who is talking about this Antoine Walker, who was 6'8" built, okay, about to go top 5, talking about he's not better than me.
Right.
Obviously, he wasn't, but we did perspective.
Yeah.
That was Kobe.
Mindset. People post Mamba mentality. This is the Mamba mentality.
This is the Mamba mentality.
Early, before any of the numbers were even supported.
Okay, and that's what I saw.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, people that, honestly, that I saw. But by the way, but let me finish that. When he said that to me, if I had any doubts, it was all gone. Okay, wow. It was all gone.
Wow.
Because, and I tell people this a lot, because Lamar could have came out of high school.
Right.
Okay. But he wasn't prepared to go out of high school here.
Right. Right.
All right. There's a difference.
Right.
You have to be mentally prepared.
Right.
Okay. You're a young man.
Right.
He wasn't mentally prepared.
Right.
Kobe in all aspect was.
Right.
And part of it was his parents.
Right.
Because again, you're a high school kid going. You can't go to clubs with these guys.
No.
A lot of things you can't do.
Nothing in common.
Nothing in common. So I knew he needed to have some strong family background. And he had that when Joe and Pam Bryant. Those were all the reasons I thought he was that guy. He would be that one.
parents listening to this, take notes, process all of what he said about the mindset and everything else. Shout out to the late, great Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality. Let's pivot to one of the current elite top 1, 2, 3. Don't argue with me. Longevity matters to me, probably in my mindset. Number one, let's talk about LeBron. Brixton, let's pivot to LeBron James. Young pitcher with you and LeBron. This is a generational conversation because we talked the other day. You told me about Gloria James, LeBron's mom, recognizing your logo at the Tip of the Hat Classic where she's watching her grandson Bronny play now. Said this hat, this better be Gary Charles that we're talking about. So we're going to talk about LeBron, but we talked earlier, you've been watching Bronny play since he was 14.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonnie, played in my tournament. And by the way, the original name was the Fat 48 when we started 2010. But at some point, we pivoted to call it now Las Vegas Big Time.
Okay.
Because that's the original name Sonny started with back in 95.
Okay.
And in fact, Kobe played in it in 95. We lost in the championship, the Panthers.
Wow.
To the Jazz.
Wow, to New Orleans Jazz. They had a run. I know some of those players, and Vegas changed a lot. So my two sons, and we come right back to LeBron. When I went with Kevin with you, 03, 04, whatever Kevin's time was, he's on the Panthers with you, and every coach is there. And it's kind of like the only basketball tournament in Vegas at the time.
Yep.
I go back with Dom 8-10 years later, got to be around 2009, 2010. And Dom started playing late, so I'm trying to put him with a team. I'm trying to pick the right tournament. There's 7-8 tournaments. And like there's the coaches, or I'm like, well, if I'm a coach, how do I find a late bloomer in one of these rooms? And I think years later is when you started it. So your association makes your tournament elite, and it makes the rest of the tournament secondary.
Yeah, what we've done is our top level, we call it the invite division.
Okay.
Then we have another level, it's called the diamond and the platinum. So college coaches know, okay, so the Bill Self and Cal Perry are going to go to the invite gym.
Right. But
the other guys might go to the diamond or the platinum.
Okay.
So they can go find that, diamond, so to speak. And they've done that.
Got it.
All right. Because there's kids who later coaches say, hey, you know what? I found him in your gold division. I said, say what? Okay. So because they understood that, okay, I'm not getting this guy here, but I can get him here. So
to a sponsor, to a coach, you've sold me the right package, because if it's here, I'm against the best of the best. This is a Duke kid. This is a Kentucky kid.
You got it.
I might not be here, so I might need to be at the gold game to get it. But let's come back to LeBron. LeBron. I started our conversation the other day with a false memory of I saw LeBron when he came to ISA Queens, and the way I remembered the game was that first it was Long Island Panthers, I think, versus Juice All Stars. That game had at least 10 future pros in it, and I remembered that LeBron only scored 2, and New York wasn't excited. But you corrected me and said he had played the night before and a couple other things. So let's start there and tell me what you saw in LeBron when you knew LeBron was that kid. So
first of all, at the Iowa State situation, he had played against a team from Far Rockaway Friday night.
Okay.
If anyone has been at Iowa State, Iowa State could be, what's the word I want to say? You better be ready for Iowa State. Let me just say
it's
that.
Intimidating.
It's intimidating. It's a small gym. It's like playing in a closet, Yeah. And so I think when LeBron came, I think he was very intimidated.
Yes.
Seeing people right close to him.
Yes.
As you know, sometimes, hey, you hit somebody with the ball, that's out of bounds, right? Okay, so one of those.
Gary, man, I got to share this story. I'm at that game with my best friend, rest his soul, Theodore Walker, who was a police officer at the time. And we're enjoying the game, watching basketball. Middle of the game, I said, Kev, you know how many guns in here right now? Like, what are you talking about? He said,
how about that?
Do you know how many guns? I said, wait. He said, I'm an officer, and they didn't check us when we came in. So they didn't check anybody.
So he plays Friday night. They get him, and then the next day is playing us. So now the game's being built. And what's amazing? Pete Edwards, shout out to my boy Pete Edwards, who runs ISA, tremendous job, says, we can't let anybody know because there's no way we could
can't accommodate.
So we can't do it. Tiny, the oldest businessman, is like, man, we need to charge for this. We need to charge.
Yes.
So I'm like, Tiny, we can't, man. We gotta, we're gonna do this for the people.
Right.
And he's like, oh, come on, G. Tiny, we can't do it. Right? So he's like, all right, so we're gonna play the game. However the word gets out, Kevin, you know this. The next day, Kevin, it's 5 deep outside. I can't get in for a minute.
You can't get in. That's crazy.
That's how crazy. Finally, I just said, yo, let me in. And then people turn around, oh, it's Coach.
Yeah.
Let it do. It's Coach with a 5-piece suit on. You know he ready. All right? Because I'm dead. Okay? I'm not bragging you. I'm just giving you a fact.
Clean.
Right? I'm clean.
Ready.
All right? So finally I get in there. When I get in there, on our bench, there's 6 guys sitting there that you really don't want no problems with.
Right.
They're sitting on the bench. Okay? And I'm like, so where's the team going to sit at?
Right. Right.
So then I go over there because one thing I will say, regardless of all of that, they respected me.
Right.
All right. And one thing about us, whoever you are, real recognize real.
That's it.
Okay?
That's it.
So when I walked in, I'm like, fellas, we need a bench. They're like, Coach, we got you.
Yeah.
Yo, move.
Yeah.
Boom. And we sit down, whatever. I looked over. One of the things I remember was I looked over to the other side. It looked like all of Coney Island was there.
Yeah, because Sebastian was
Tiny had it. Sebastian was playing. Tiny had them all there. Okay. And then I look and I see Gloria James.
Yes.
But she is sitting under the scoreboard. So we had the flip chart, as you remember.
Right.
She is sitting right under there and dare anybody to move her.
Yeah. Oh, she was real. She was not a joke.
Gloria was real.
Yeah.
And nobody was going to tell her to go anywhere.
No,
right?
no.
So she was right there. So that game is unbelievable. Like you said, all the guys that were there, like Tiny had Sebastian. He had Ramel Bradley that went to Kentucky.
Yes.
He had Chris Taft that went to Pitt, went to the pros.
6'10".
Yeah, 6'10". He had this kid named Jamaria Davison out of Georgia, about 6'9". I forget where he ended up going. He had another kid that ended up going to Miami, Karan Clark.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, they loaded.
Yeah.
Guess what?
You wasn't empty-handed. Oh my God.
Right? We're loaded. All right. And we had Jason Fraser was our big man. Villanova. We had Charlie Villanueva. UConn Fo. We had Alan Ray. Okay. We went to Villanova and had a cup of coffee in Boston. We had Taquan Dean.
Yes.
Probably the second best shooter I ever had. And I'm going to Louisville. And one made it to the Final Four.
Yes.
With Louisville. Okay. Curtis Sumter.
Yes.
All right. And Curtis went to Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it's funny, I always remember my guy, and we had Showtime, Dow Hill.
Ooh, yeah.
St. John.
Yes.
Point guard who's unbelievable. So that was that matchup,
yeah.
Bassie versus Showtime. And I always remember Tim Doyle was the one white kid on the team.
Yes.
Okay. The shooter.
Yes.
All right. Who ended up going to St. John and then went to Northwestern.
Yes.
And Timmy right now is a color commentator for the Big Ten Network.
Yes.
Okay. So he played in the game, also. So I remember that. And I remember people said, LeBron is not all of that.
Yes.
Okay,
that was the conversation. That was the New York thing.
Right. So we were down by 20 and came back and won the game. All right. That's what ended up happening. And Charlie was, unbelievable in the game. But they all were. Let me just say it. Because Alan Ray put on
a league game.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
I mean, they all were, all these kids. Alan Ray put on a performance of a lifetime, so speaking that game. And, Jason was just Jason. He blocked a couple of shots. So it was really, really good. But let me just take you back as to why I knew LeBron was that guy.
Okay.
I'll take you back maybe 2 years prior to that at ABCD camp.
Okay. For the people, ABCD stood for
advancement. What was it? God, so long. Advancement of
betterment, something like that.
Betterment. Academic. It was the academic betterment of students or something like that. Like another word. It started out as to teach these kids academic in the beginning.
Okay.
And then do a camp, basketball camp. So that's what it stood for. So, wow, I got to remember that now. It's been a while.
I'm sorry, but just to set the stage for the story, invite only.
Invite only, and just so we understand, when it first started, it was only the top 100 players in the country could come. And then obviously, Nike started to do their own. And by the way, just so we understand, because Sonny came from Nike, had gotten fired. If you ever watched the movie Air,
Yes.
Sonny got let go by Nike, and that's why he came to me to help get another camp going.
Yes.
And that's how all that got going, so to speak. Okay. And he had some guys with him, like Bobby Hostin was from Lincoln, Gadget Caesar from St. Raymond. They were all part of that little team. But anyway, so you could only get an invite and you had to be a top guy. And for the record, we go back to Nike as far. So for those who don't know, because I wanted to finish this piece because it's very important.
Go for it.
When we signed Kobe, Phil Knight wanted to know, how did Nike lose Kobe? Once to find out. And the people started telling him there was a little short, suave guy who got it done. And this is me saying, this is other people who told me. He said, that's not going to happen again. Let's start our own traveling program.
Okay.
And that's how Nike started because of Kobe.
Right.
So I want people to understand.
Right.
I might have been the first, but Kobe is the reason why it's where it's at now.
Wow.
Okay. That's the true story. So now fast forward to LeBron. LeBron's cousin, Maverick Carter, who's the guy.
Runs the business side.
Runs the business side, right? At ABCD, we used to invite all the top, say, college players, future pros, because we had the NBA guys there who would work them out.
Right.
It was legal to do that. George Karl would be the head. George Karl was at Denver at the time.
Yeah, not Utah, Denver.
Right. And he ran it with Tim Gergerich, who was his assistant.
Oh, yeah.
But all the other guys were
Major workout guy.
So Maverick was working for me. So my job, I was the director of the athletes, college athletes. That was part of my job. I assigned them their job and made sure they showed up to workouts and all that. So Maverick was working for us, and because someone had already told Sonny about LeBron. So he invited Maverick to come to work. And Maverick came to me and said, yo, Gee, because we became boys, yo, I think my cousin is better than your boy, Lenny Cook.
Ooh.
Now, for those who don't know about Lenny Cook will go down as one of the all-time guys who didn't make it. Okay?
Right.
Lenny was all of that.
There's a documentary.
Lenny might be the most feared player I've ever coached. Like when we walked on the court, we was up 10 points because people feared him that much. That's just how good Lenny Cook was. And Lenny, I think I got the MVP. He was the MVP for the underclassmen game. Lenny. So when he finally came to camp. And so he says to me, yeah, my cousin. I'm like, your cousin? Who's your cousin? So I have a cousin named LeBron James. I said, from where? He said, Akron, Ohio. I said, Akron, Ohio?
No ball players in Akron, Ohio.
Get out of here. He said, yeah, I'm telling you, man. I'm like, get out of here. I'm not even trying to hear about no damn Akron, Ohio.
No.
Get out of here. He said, all right, yeah, all right. So he didn't want to argue with me too much, right? Because I'm killing him at this point.
Right.
He's laughing, but I'm killing him. That's my boy. Okay. Following year, here comes LeBron. So what we did probably better than anybody else with that, we would set up matchups.
To see.
To see what was up. Like I remember some of the matchups we did for Stephon Marbury. Stephon is one of my favorite, of all time. Because Stephon, at ABCD, I played somebody, game was over, he come right to me. Who's next?
Ooh.
That was Steph.
Ooh, wanted to smoke.
Everyone. He wanted to smoke. He wanted to know who's the next one you got in matchup. Who's next? And I would tell him, at so-and-so time, on court 3, you're playing so-and-so. You go. Walk out. That's Steph. So those are the type of things we did. So now fast forward, LeBron. And now LeBron is about to go up against Lenny Cook. All right? And I always remember, it looked like half of New York was there.
Yeah.
Okay? And so Sonny comes walking in, and I'm watching Sonny come walking in the gym. And just so everybody knows, where I was at, Gadget Caesar and I and Bobby Hostin, the three of us ran the camp. So we would be sitting at a table like this. And the 4 courts, we could look at them, court 1, court 2, court 3, court 4. So we could see everything.
Right.
And whatever. Now I see Sonny coming in outside. He's coming in. And he comes to me. Everybody always know he needed to sit next to me to get feedbacks or whatever. Because Sonny was always political.
Right.
He would always say, okay, who's this guy? Who's that?
Right.
And he said, where's the game going to be at? I said, right here. So he sat next to me. And the game gets started. Now, people, let me tell you what I remember. The game gets started. Lenny Cook starts. He dribbles the ball through his legs about 7-8 times. Whack.
6'8", low to the ground.
Low to the ground. Bam! He hits a jump shot. The place goes crazy. It's New York. You in Jersey, but might as well be New York. Everybody's
Right.
And now everybody's waiting to see what LeBron does. And I said to you, if you're a New York kid and somebody does that to you, what do you do next?
You got to go back at him.
You got to go back at him, right? LeBron comes down and he makes a pass to a kid going in for a layup, all right? And I said, oh, shoot. I turned around to Sonny and I said, we didn't say anything. I nodded my head. He nodded his head. We knew. We said, that's the next one. We got it. Like, we didn't have to say a word because we haven't been doing this enough to
actually. Yeah, you could tell. You could tell.
We were like, did you just see what I saw?
Right.
Did you see what he just did?
Right.
He made the basketball play.
Right.
He didn't make the street play.
No. The right play.
He made the right play.
Yeah.
Right basketball play. That's when I knew.
And he's done that, continued to do that as a pro, where some people have pressured him, take the last shot. I trust my teammates. If it's wide open and I'm double teamed, he got it. The rest is history. Fast forward. Happy belated birthday, LeBron. Just turned 40 this past Saturday. Scored over 40,000 points. And the rest of it is history. Pivot to the last play I'm going to ask you about. Let's talk about Danny Green. Danny Green. Danny calls me Pops, my son's best friend. Just retired after a long, incredible 15-year NBA career. He won at every level, high school, North Carolina, 3 NBA championships. In my biased opinion, one of the greatest role players of all time, in conversations with other top role players ever. But talk to me about Danny Green. Tell me about intro to Danny, what you remember about him, and what you saw in Danny.
Danny will go down as one of my favorite players of all time.
Okay.
I played for the Panthers. But it's more to do with not what he did on the court, but the type of young man that he is off the court.
Yes.
He is a tremendous, individual.
Yes.
That's never changed.
Yes.
All right. That mellow, how are you type, guy. Respectful. Always has been. And shout out to the dad for having that, with his 3 boys.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about the other ones for sure, but definitely Danny.
Big shout out, Big Danny, my guy, my guy.
But shout out to Danny Senior, on that. But I'll tell you what I remember. I remember your son, playing. Obviously, you and I were friends. Your wife, by the way, hey Nisi, how you doing? Okay, I remember. And so you told me your son, I think, was coming from Chicago, and you wanted him to come out. And I'm thinking, well, hell, I guess he ain't coming out. He's on the goddamn team. I mean, he's your kid. It's all good. All right. But I'm thinking, coming from Chicago, he must be able to play.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And so he's there, and he says to me, I have a friend who wants to, come out. Is it okay?
Yes.
Coach, if I bring him? And I'm thinking, Kev, man, I'll be a bum.
Right.
We don't do bums over here. Okay. He said, Coach, can you at least just give him a try? I said, all right, man, but I'm telling you right now, he's not that guy. You know me, I'm a big mom movie watcher. You'll get a bullet behind your neck. It don't work out. So then he comes. He don't say much.
Right.
But he's doing every little thing.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And it's interesting, by the way, on a side note, I was just asked about different characteristics of players I've had all the time. And I gave Danny the best all-around player the Panthers ever had.
Oh my God.
Okay. Now obviously, as you know, we've had over 20-something pros, but
right.
he's
well deserved.
Well deserved, and his other guys who not pros look pretty good too. But anyway, but I'm watching him. Okay, and he's just doing everything. He doesn't say a lot. I'm like, okay. And I said, Kev, I like this kid. And mind you, I think he's like in the 9th grade or whatever.
Yeah,
he's young.
Yeah.
At the time. But I liked him.
Yeah.
And but I told him he had to wait his turn.
Yes.
All right. And in fact, one of my favorite stories is that I remember later on at some point, he said to me, Coach, when am I going to start?
Wow.
I forget whatever at some point.
Yeah.
And Charlie, even a waiver, came in and said, you wait your turn. Everybody had to wait their turn except for Lamar.
Yes.
Okay, I had to wait my turn.
Yes.
Now you're gonna wait your turn.
Yes.
Danny just smiled, laughed, and walked away.
Mhm.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
About Danny.
Yes.
All right. The other thing that I remember is that Danny Sr. came to me one time and said, "Hey, Guy, when do you know for kids to flow?"
Right.
And I'm looking at Danny like, huh? Because I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I was seeing pro at the time when he asked me the question.
Right.
And I said, that's interesting. But I responded with there are different characteristics, you know, in the game. And sometimes what people do is they play checkers instead of chess.
Right.
All right. And there's a process to this. And I remember that was the speech I gave.
Right.
Okay. But then I started to watch Danny a little closer. Got better and better and better. As a matter of fact, I had to call him a favor to get him the McDonald's All-American game.
Wow.
All right. People didn't want to vote for him. And I called him all the favors I had. I was yelling at these guys. I was gangstering. I was gangstering some of the voters, you know, on that. But at the end, I said, I'm doing you a damn favor. You just don't know it yet.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
I need this kid.
Yes.
I need your vote.
Yes.
I need that vote. And you got how many I needed.
Right.
You know, I was doing
election.
I was doing the Nancy Pelosi thing.
Let's get it done.
I was getting my vote.
Yes.
You know, I knew. But I felt Danny could get that. So now Danny, you know, the more we played, it got to a point. I'm like, all right, Danny, if you dribble the ball more than 3 times, I'm gonna put my foot up your behind.
Right.
All right. I want you to go to your spot.
Right.
And nail it.
Right.
All right. You don't know it yet, but you're gonna be big time because of this.
Right.
He started doing it. That's the thing about Danny. Very coachable.
Yes. Extremely.
Very coachable. Okay. And I tell the people story, not too many people know this, and I don't know if Danny knows this. When Coach Roy Williams started recruiting them at ABCD camp, because there was another kid on Danny's team that had already committed to North Carolina. So they're really watching the other kid. But the more they watch Danny, all of a sudden they wanted Danny.
Yeah.
And by the way, he wanted to go North Carolina State. Him and his dad were going to North Carolina State.
Because they were doing the double. They were going to offer Danny and Shotty. I was scared of the class that Danny committed with to North Carolina because I started 4 or 5 kids committed. Ray Felton, Bobby Frazier, a couple of others, Tyler Hansborough. Everybody's coming off an average of 25, 26 in college. In high school, I'm like, wow.
Oh, that's what I tell you.
It's crowded.
No, that's why I'll tell you a story that I told him. I said, you're not going to start.
Yeah.
I said, but at the end of the day, I think you got a chance to be a pro on that team.
Yeah.
He said, what? I'm like, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Not going to start, but it's North Carolina.
Right.
You don't have to start. I'm telling you, you're going to be all right. So, but going back, so Roy's recruiting them, and Roy comes to me and says, I like him, but is he coachable? I knew what Roy was really trying to say. Okay, he's not starting.
Right.
Is he going to be all right? You know,
right.
Over here. I knew what he was saying. I remember Jay Wright was all in my neck because Jay Wright was at Hofstra.
Yes.
So people weren't sold as Danny. He said, hey, come on, I got to get him. I said, kid's better than you think, Jay.
Yes.
And Jay was, well, can I get him on the rebound? I remember that.
Yeah, I got it.
I said, all right, Jay. Anyway, so Roy says to me, you know, is he coachable? I said, yeah, but okay. So now we're in Vegas playing a game. Now as a coach, you know, I try to put my kids in the proper position. That's why I tell coaches sometimes. Sometimes you got to put these players in a proper position to get a scholarship. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
This ain't about your ego.
No.
It's about getting these kids a scholarship. Yes. We're now playing against, to me, one of the top teams ever, if not the top teams in the country, period, ever. And with Greg Oden, Mike Conley, all right, they had Daquan Cook, who ended up going to the league. Matter of fact, Daquan Cook went to Ohio State too, and they made it to the championship as freshmen altogether. They had, God, I don't forget this white kid who actually played in the NBA.
Okay.
They had him on the team, and they had a young, oh my God, Eric Gordon.
Wow.
That was that team. They was loaded.
Team Ohio?
No, they weren't called Team Ohio. They were based out of Indiana.
Got it. Okay.
So it was like an Indiana team. And Mike Conley Sr., the Olympic track star, was coaching them.
Yes.
Okay.
Unbelievable
team. And we're playing them. I think Daquan Cook maybe scored 2 threes against Danny. I yanked him out.
Okay.
On purpose. And he's looking like, what I do? And I yell at him. I'm yelling at him on purpose. And I said, go sit down. He goes to the other side to go sit down. A minute later, he gets up. Come on, y'all. Come on.
Clap.
Let's go.
Unbelievable move.
Roy Williams gets up. He looks at me. He goes,
Coachability. Parents, take your notes out. Correct your kids. Coachability is everything. To cheer for his teammates after getting benched. And guess what, Gee?
but I knew you would.
And you knew it. You
I
set
knew
him
it.
up to win.
I set him up. And I looked at Nate Cadigan or my boy, Khalid Green.
Okay.
One of my coaches.
Of course.
At the time. And I said, I think we just got in scholarship to North Carolina. And I winked at them and kept them moving.
Wow.
Finished the game.
Wow.
All right. And that's a true story.
Wow.
And obviously, Danny didn't start. And, there's some other stories behind it. I don't know if I want to share maybe for later. I'll tease people. But Danny has just been that guy.
Yeah.
Really that guy. And what helped him also was I thought Pop was the right guy for him. And I remember telling his agent, Bill Duffy, at the time, I said, Bill, he needs to go to San Antonio with Pop. So what do you mean? I said, that's the right team and the right man for him.
Right system.
Right
system. You can't get lost.
Yeah.
Gabe, man, we've been going at it for a minute, so we could do this forever. No coffee, no water. But let's come back to what you got going on this weekend. I want to remind the people, you heard it all here, people. So if you joined the live stream late, Brixton, let's throw back the flyer up for the games coming up this weekend. We have walked the walk. We've talked the talk. We went from the beginning to the end, from the pros. We left 15 or 20 great stories out that we'll save for next time. So if y'all want me to do this again, put it in the comments. We talked about who's already there. We went in generational order. We went Dr. J, Kobe, LeBron, Danny Green. But if you want to know who has next, come out this weekend to the 10th annual Gary Charles Classic happening, Chaminade High School, Saturday and Sunday. The very best public schools, the very best private schools, the best of Long Island, the best of New York City. What can the people expect to see, and how early should they arrive to make sure they can get a ticket?
On Saturday, the first game starts at 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
And that's Uniondale. No, it's not Uniondale. It's Mount Vernon. So Mount Vernon is playing against Brentwood. How about that?
Nice.
That's the first game, 9:30.
Brentwood travels. I know Brentwood's coming.
That's first game, 9:30 in the morning. And the last game on Saturday starts at 8. And that's the Uniondale versus Lawrence Woodmere. Okay. So there's games all in between. And we mentioned a couple of those games before. So show up. Then a Sunday is going to be tremendous. The first game on Sunday starts at 12:30. And that's Mount Vernon against Holy Trinity. And that's the first one.
Wow.
Okay. So and it just continues on. And I think, Baldwin is right after that against, William Floyd. Well, maybe they play at 2. But the point that I'm making is it's going to be an enjoyable weekend.
Yes.
There's something for everybody. I was talking to the baseball coach yesterday, and he said, man, after my game on Saturday, I got to run out, do a 2 errand, but I'm coming right back.
Yes.
I can't miss these. I can't miss these games. So, come and enjoy it, Tom. You want to see seriously real talent from across Long Island and know what's really happening from a basketball standpoint. That's where you need to be. And not only that, though, it's also probably going to be some of the preview of some of the championship teams, down the line in Nassau and Suffolk County. That's the other thing. Okay, it's going to be tremendous. Okay, but I can't wait to come back because I have more stories. Like, listen, Mike James is going to kill me. I mean,
Mike James is my. Mike James, my apologies. Jerry Powell.
Come on, Jerry Powell. I got to talk about Jerry.
My apologies.
Mike James played over 12 years in the NBA, and he might have the most fascinating story I have for you.
Jason Frazier, my man. Gary mentioned you a few times, but you are a story and an incredible young man in yourself. But I apologize in advance to everybody.
It's a lot.
We will get better. I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to bring you back. But since I didn't do a great job as a host this time, I'll probably put Kevin Jr. in the seat and let him interview you.
You did a hell of a job. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. But I don't want to get in trouble with the Amityville crew. Okay, so
got to shout him out, ladies and gentlemen. Gary Charles.
Yeah.